So I was fortunate enough to be at one of the last trainings that Jon Kabat-Zinn uh, did in Switzerland with the Center for Mindfulness, and he did it along with the director at the time, which was Saki Santorelli. And they were John was teaching the way that we do mindfulness based stress reduction. He started off, guiding us through these particular meditations, but then, like in most of those group dynamics, there's, not only do we do the thing, but then we talk about what's going on inside of us after we do the thing. And so he's passing around the mic, and there's a woman that came up, and she basically is telling the story. And I wish I remembered every bit of the story, but it was something along the lines that her husband was a doctor, and he was on some board or in some committee or something, and their children had like this disease, and he was in a place where he could have kind of put them first in line, and he didn't do it, like ethically or some reason. And so she was so mad at him, and her children didn't get whatever this experimental, type of thing was. Again, I wish I remember the exact specifics. That's not as important. What's important is that as she told her kind of story of trauma, is that John, he was in his 70s at this point, and he even said so. He says, "Let me listen to myself for a moment," which I've used that since. I love that. Let me listen to myself for a moment. And then he dropped into silence for, a bit. And then he came back. He's like, I've never had an experience. There's nothing in my reality that has ever experienced anything like what you're describing that you're going through at the moment. And this was a room that had like 250 existing MBSR instructors, and maybe another 100 people, from Germany, and the surrounding countries. It was a large room full of people that were all really health practitioners. And he says, "I wonder if maybe we could all just be with you with this for a moment." And just the power of that moment, where there's this entire room full of people that are just dropping into silence to just hold and witness this woman. You saw her right there. She cooked right there. It was such an amazing lesson about not just the power of presence, but the power of presence in numbers and normalizing, just like you don't have to fix things. You don't have to, like, it's not about that. It's about just being witnessed for a moment, and how much power it is for people to have a moment of truly being understood.